back to On the Fly. We're previewing, predicting, to recap World Junior Championships, the Men's World Championships, the Women's World Championship, the U18 Men's World Championship. Expect the unexpected.
Absolute abomination of the Canadian Junior Nationals.
I have a couple extra words I want to use on that one. And it's Freebird. Freebird, Freebird, Freebird. Of course, the Olympics are just around the corner. I'm going to coin it the rivalry day.
In World Junior history!
Your home for international hockey. This is On the Fly. And hello, everybody, and welcome back to On the Fly. Today, we're going to be watching this Finland-Slovakia bronze medal game together. As we welcome everybody in from across the globe into this one. If you have not already, be sure to drop your predictions on this one into the chat. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah. That's pretty much it so far. Puck drop is just a few minutes away. A quick reminder of how we got to this point. And it's been definitely a bit of a journey. You think kind of for really both these teams, for the Slovaks, one big win early in the tournament kind of really helped their case to end up getting here. You know, you think that win against the Finns on the opening night, obviously now a rematch between these two teams, and we'll see which one comes out on top today. Huge implications, big time game, and we'll see whether or not the Slovaks are going to be able to pull off another big upset. Big news coming out this morning. Of course, Mikko Rantanen not in the lineup today for the Finns, and that could become a differentiating factor in this one. And for a team like the Finns, where they're a very defensive-heavy team, one player like a guy like Rantanen could very well be the difference between coming out on top and not making a medal. And so for the Finns today, there is a bit of a risk, and I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a risk, but it will ultimately come down to, well, how well do the two teams play? How well in their systems do both teams play today? And so time will tell. Some obviously bronze medal game at any of these tournaments, especially at the Olympics. It's a big game, and big games calls for big players. You think to the star talent of the Slovaks, they are going to have to be on their game, but so does the depth, and there's lots of players you can pick from, really from both these teams that are going to play that big role today. And I think there's no one that you kind of look to more than Juraj Slafkovský for this Slovak team to kind of be that offensive punch. You know, a guy that he's already led the Slovaks in 2022 to an Olympic bronze medal. They're going to look for more of the same from him in this one. It should definitely be very interesting, to say the least. Then you add in the other part of it, right, where you're looking kind of forward, and you say, well, if Slafkovský gets shut down, you have Dalibor Dvorsky right behind him, and he's kind of that next guy up for the Slovak team. You look to your goaltending to be a big part of today. Lavai probably, or most likely, will get the start today for the Slovaks. You can assume Saros will be in net for the Finns. And coming off of a bit of a disappointing loss yesterday against the Canadians, for the Finns at least, you're going to expect them to come out flying in this one, try and earn back some of that kind of winning attitude. But, of course, time will tell if they're going to be able to do it. As we are moments now away from puck drop, we will see how this one goes today. If you are just joining us, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know who you think is going to win in our poll. Current vote tallies, 17 votes in, Finland at 59%, Slovakia at 41%. And as well, please let me know your score predictions down in the comments. Today's going to be an interesting one. And it's one of those games where it could really go either way, right? And especially you take out Rantanen from the Finnish lineup, it's a huge loss for really both these, or for the Finns. And that's the opportunity I think that the Slovak team is looking for. My personal prediction on this game, with Rantanen out, I think this one's going to be a lot tighter. It wouldn't surprise me to see it go to overtime. the Finns have already lost Barkov. They've now lost Rantanen. Now it's a matter of, are they going to be able to maybe not just pull off the upset, but kind of pull off the win, and especially with their best players out, because they're down two of their best goal scorers too, I may add. Sebastian Aho for the Finns is going to need to be really good today if they want any shot at taking home this game. As for the referees today, a Canadian, a Swede, and 2 Czechs. So I know that there's been a bit of controversy there with all the Canadians refereeing the Canadian games and all the Americans refereeing the American games. There will be no country representation from the Slovaks or the Finns in today's reffing system. Lavai, the starter for the Slovaks, 5 games played so far through this tournament, 3.39 goals against average, 914 save percentage. He has been excellent so far for the Slovak team. Been a real big part of it. And you think about all the upsets that they pulled off along the way. He's been, especially in that first one against the Finns, where that game was very much dominated by the goaltending. The Finns will look for something similar today if they want any chance at maybe not pulling off the upset, but we're definitely around that point now for this Slovak team. Saros in net for the Finns, coming off of a tough loss yesterday against Canada, 3-2 loss within the last 30 seconds of that game. We'll see if he's going to be able to bounce back today. Should be interesting to see. We are moments away here from puck drop. Time will tell to see which team comes home with the bronze medal. It is medal day action here at the men's Olympic hockey event. We are getting ever so much closer to the gold medal game tomorrow morning. And we are, 6 plus 12, so 18 hours away from the gold medal game. But bronze medal action, Slovakia versus Finland. Puck is about to drop. Slafkovský line out for the Slovaks. Lundell line out for the Finns. Ruzicka versus Lundell on the draw. And Lundell wins the opening draw for the Finns, and they will dump it all the way down. Puck has dropped. We are underway for bronze medal action here in, I believe it's Milano. Maybe it's Cortina. It's one of the two. Shot tipped out front, misses just wide. Finns looking to get off to an early start today. Puck will be rimmed around. Nemitz collects for the Slovaks. Ruzicka moves it up. Faravari will dump it down deep. Saros collects it behind the Finnish net. Moves it over to Mikkola. Mikkola skates up with it. Mikkola with the puck. Shoots it all the way down, and the Finns will go and dump it. Halavai out behind his net to play it. Kellerman. But Aho takes it off his stick. And the puck goes right back down. Opening minute down here in the first. Heiskanen tries to pinch, can't, but it'll be jumped back right back out to center. $18:45 to play in the first period. Shots still at zeros. Holla dump it down deep, or Hintz rather dumps it down deep to Granlund. Oh, we have our first Finland vote in the chat today. We will see whether or not that is going to be well as we move forward. Yogi Haru with another dump and chase there. Tips off Granlund's stick. As Dvorsky walks in now. Dvorsky rims it around. Okuliar first on it for the Slovaks, but knocked off the stick. And Mata will pick it up behind the Finnish net. Armia now. Puck comes just off his stick. Bit of a slow start to this one. Kind of expected, though. You think about how these two teams play. I wouldn't say a defensive start is really all that surprising. Shot from the point, misses just wide. Great pass there to Ristolainen. Ristolainen walks in, holds, goes around the net. Ristolainen waits with it to Mikkola. Mikkola shot from the point. Misses just wide of the net. Osterainen up to the point to Mikkola. Mikkola to Kakko. To Mikkola. Looking for Heiskanen there, skating down the half wall. Slovakia looks remarkably calm today. It is also 3 minutes in, so we'll see if that changes throughout this game. Kakko down the corner. Heiskanen shot. Misses just wide. Blocked out in front. Lundell. Over to Kakko. Kakko to Heiskanen. Heiskanen shoots. Looking for deflection out front, but it's covered up by Lavai. The other player down today is Pospisil for Cehlarik, for the Slovaks. So 2 kind of injury reports coming into this one. But the bigger name, if you are just joining us, is Mikko Rantanen, down today for the Finnish team. A huge loss for them. There seems to be a lower body injury suffered in the third period in their game against Canada yesterday. Wasn't able to go, will be reevaluated at some point. Oliver Kapanen in for the Finns for Rantanen today. Lundell. Up to the Kapanen. Fired down. Kapanen with the first on it. Kapanen playing alongside Aho today. Lettinen as well. Aho down to Lettinen. Lettinen with the puck, works down the corner. Fire it. This is just over the outstretched stick. This game will be very different than Canada-USA. This game will be about power strength. The one about tactics, yeah, that's very true. I'm excited for tomorrow. I don't know what to really expect, and as someone that was at Four Nations, I can say that the energy level is going to be very different than what it was, especially with the crowd. I mean, Canadians and the Americans both have traveled well so far for this tournament, but I think it's going to be a very different type game. I am so excited for tomorrow. Slafkovský passes it forward, broken up there, looking for a backdoor play with no one on the backside. Hintz with it now, carries it forward. Shot, misses wide. Ristolainen shot, looks for the tip there. Teravainen. As the Slovaks will break it up by Slafkovský. Slafkovský waits, shoots, saved by Saros. Rebound, controlled by the Finns. Teravainen gets the puck knocked off him. Hudacek in the vicinity, but Haula now will pick it up, move it up for the Finns. Granlund carries it over the blue line. Granlund now throws on the brakes. Jam it down deep. Haula out front, saved by Lavai. Lavai's looked good so far, 15 into play. If you are new here, please do hit the like button. They're showing yesterday's clip. They showed Lavai getting pulled yesterday against the US, and I thought for a second they just pulled him again. I was about to say that's a rough start for the day. Our poll as of this current moment, 26 votes registered, 54% for the Finns, 46% for the Slovaks. We will see how much that changes as this day goes onward, but as of current, it does appear like the slight favorite does go to the Finns, which I think is fair, and I think that that's probably where it should be, to be completely honest. Especially with Rantanen down, I think that's a huge, huge loss today for the Finns. Sukel lines up against Haula. Haula loses the draw. Scramble there in front. Slovaks come away with it, though. Chernak rims it around. Passes it around the boards. Cehlarik now. Cehlarik for the Slovaks, works down in the corner. Oh, and tripped up there. No call coming. Oh, pass in front! Sukel not able to find it, though. Looks for a little tip play there. Could not find the redirect. And this game will remain 0-0. Shots 2-2 as of this current moment. 3-2 now for the Slovaks. Lundell works it around. Heiskanen passes it along. Slovaks here pick it up and control it in their own end as they start to look up ice. Feravari waits, not trying to force any of the trap defense of the Finns. Oh, but a good pinch there. Kakko shoots. Kakko deflect off the own guy and saved again. Heiskanen walks in to Kakko. Kakko shoots. Another big save by Lavi. What a save by Lavi. And the game remains tied at 0. Numerous quality chances there for the Finns with Kaapo Kakko on the doorstep, but denied by Lavi. Is it possible to score an own goal in ice hockey? It's very possible to score an own goal. It just doesn't get registered as an own goal. It goes to whoever scored it. It's not like football, soccer in that sense. Oh, and our poll has swung back the other way. The Slovaks now lead it 53% to 43%, or 47% rather, as seems to be the growing belief that this Slovak team might be able to pull off the upset again, pull off what they did in the opening game of this tournament, and surprise, I'd say, a lot of people, including myself. I thought that the Finns, and early on here, does kind of look at least like the Finns. Still the early favorites. I don't think that was really ever in question, but good to see the Slovaks putting up a fight early on, getting their chances. Having some good goaltending again is a key to their success. At the end of this game, the bronze medal winners will get their medals right away. They won't have to wait until after the gold medal like the Swiss woman had to. It's interesting. Oh, and Tolvanen with a knee-on-knee with Gernat. Ooh, that looked ugly. Clearly going to have a bit of a problem there. As puck is about to be back underway. Puck is about to drop and we're about to be back underway here. Slovaks win the draw. Push it up to center. Lundell back for the Finns. Aho works up, but taken away by Chernak there. Rims it around the boards and will come out to center ice. Did Chernak get suspended? He didn't. He's playing today. I think the only suspension that I can recall from so far in this tournament, there was one to an Italian player earlier. And then there was one from their own nation. Heiskanen shot from the point. Saved. Scores! Sebastian Aho for the Finns finds them up 1-0 early here. A huge goal for the Finns as they look to try and earn their bronze medal in today's game. Looked to be a bit of a rebound chance. Scramble out front. And in good style Finnish hockey, the Finns find themselves up early here. Repeating after yesterday, Heiskanen shot from the point to Kapanen. Kapanen jams through Lavi. Rebound squishes just out to Aho. And Aho deposits it into the empty net. What a start for the Finns here. Now, here's the real question is that goaltender interference? It's not, but you could very well make the argument for it. Jokiharju rims it around, especially after yesterday's. Was it goalie interference? Was it not? It's always a fascinating one. Hintz works it back up to Mata. Jokiharju rims it around. Shot tipped, no one there. Jokiharju tries to run it back. Just out the outstretched stick of Hintz, who will collect in the neutral zone. Oh, and tripped up. No call there, though. Hintz tripped up there by the Slovak forward. 11:38 now to go in the first period. Jokiharju dumps it down deep for the Finns. Jam down deep. Knocked down there. For the Slovaks, they look to try and work in the offensive end, but can't. Neutral zone trapped away yet again by the Finns. Surprise, surprise, I guess you could say. An early defensive start to this one, though. What you kind of want to see is Lundell will dump it down. Passes it. Regenda. Saros. Kellerman jams out front. Looking for Regenda in the area, but could not find him. As the Finns work back the other way. Rims it down deep. First on it at the Finns. Kakko. Over to Luosterainen. To Kakko. Kakko works down deep. Plays out front to Lundell. Misses just over his stick. Shot from the point. Mikko Lehtinen. Or Miro Heiskanen, rather, with that shot. It's picked off again by the Finns in the neutral zone. Heiskanen works down. Oh, and a great play there. Oh, but the Finns collect it back. It has been a bit of a tough start so far for this Finnish team, or for the Slovak team, rather, to get much going. They've had a few decent chances, but not enough to be down a goal. Aho. Out front. Saved by Lavai. Let's see, where were we? Easy, Finland, easy. The Women's Olympic Tournament is the only IIHF where if you won the bronze medal, you had to wait until after the gold medal. If you just won bronze, would you rather get your medal after your win or after the gold medal game? It's a good question. I'd say I would, you kind of obviously want it after you win the bronze because emotions are still high, but it is also cool to be on that kind of Olympic podium with everybody else. Like, it's kind of, especially at the Olympics, I'd say, more than any other event, because that's just kind of a fun part of it. Yeah, I'd say probably when, I don't know, Olympics, I'd say I'd rather it with the three where you can have all three of the teams. But any other tournament, I'd say right away. And the other part of it you can make the argument for is, well, I'd rather not wait a full day, and I'd rather get it the same day of. So if that's having to wait until after the first game's done and getting to watch the Olympic gold medal game, then sure. But I do see the point about, well, I'd probably just want to get out of there as well, which is fair. Definitely receive the bronze after you win as soon as possible. Fair. That's very, very fair. As we take a look at our poll, 51%, the lead has gone right back to the Finns, 49% for the Slovaks. If you have not already, be sure to vote on that poll, as well as hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are on the road now to 1,600 subscribers here on YouTube, so every little bit does help. Big thank you for that. Lundell now will rim it around as the puck is dropped back underway. Puck will get rimmed around here. Kuliar moves it up to Dvorsky. Dumped down deep into the Finnish end. Saros out to play it for the Finns. Passes it over to Lundell. Aho. Passes it across to Heiskanen. Heiskanen works down deep. Throws it around the boards. Kuliar fires it down. And Hintz now works in. Closed off there. Kresniak up to Tatar. Tomáš Tatar. What is your time in Canada? It is currently 2:58 p.m. on Saturday, February the 21st. Teravainen. Oh, and a weird collision there. No call. Holla. Down to the Slovak end now. Ermia. Slovaks will work it back up. Down deep. Slafkovský looking for it, but Slafkovsky's line has been relatively cold so far in this game, I'll say that much. Especially in this kind of game, you'd expect them to kind of get going a little bit earlier. Oh, stretch pass. Tolvanen shot. Saved by Lavai. Oh, and a high stick there. Lundell to Tolvanen. Lichka tries to get through, but knocked down by Heiskanen. Heiskanen works across. Lichka picked off. Shot. Regenda up front. Misses the net wide. Coming oh so close on that one. That chance there. Just nearly found a way through. Shukel shot. Misses over the net. Good save there by Saros as the low angle behind the net chance. The Finns will dump it down deep. Slafkovský now will work it up for the Slovaks. Picked off again in the neutral zone. Works down. Aho. Shot up front. Lehkonen, the chance. Digs away in front. No one knows where it is, into the corner for the Finns, and a good save and a good denying there of the chance for Lavai for the Slovaks. Shot from the point. Misses just over the net. Lehkonen. Oh! Good save there by Lavai. Or that was Kapanen rather in the area, not Aho. Jammed out front. Kapanen. Lehkonen. Jam played Aho. Misses wide. Lots of high quality chances there for the Finns. Dvorsky now works back up the other way. Okuliar tries to work it around, but keeps the puck. Okuliar for the Slovaks. Okuliar shot from the point, tip, deflected, misses just wide. Granlund, can't find it. Oh, Teravainen trips on the puck, goes down. Okuliar hammer it down deep. 5:14 left to go in the first period. Shots are 10-5 for the Finns, but where it counts, 1-0 on the scoreboard. And I think if you are the Slovak team, obviously you don't want to go down, but I think you'd rather be within a reasonable margin than, obviously be down by a lot more. So a decent start. What do we got here? Morning coffee for North American East Coast tomorrow. Celebrating a goal at 7:30. Something I didn't reckon in 2005 Japanese Grand Prix. It's going to be a great game tomorrow. And I know I'm absolutely over the moon for it. Canada-US, our first best on best action we've seen since Four Nations between those two teams. Obviously, Canada came out on top on the Four Nations side. A whole bunch of different... there's been a lot of changes to the roster since then. But I would say that all in all, it's still going to be a really tight game between these two teams. That one went to overtime for the final. You think back to the opening game, the U.S. won that one pretty decisively too, I may add. And so it is going to be either way. And it's going to be a tight game, and it's going to be one that could very much be a difference maker by 1 or 2 goals that all of a sudden have a lot more of an impact than most people might think it might have. So very, very excited, to say the least, between those two teams. It's going to be a tight game. And I think ultimately it comes down to which team plays better. If the Canadians can play better defensively, they'll be fine. Then they'll probably win the game. But if the U.S. can get going offensively, Canada's going to struggle. And because they'll never win. And I know Canada's a really good top 6 offense this year. Canada will never be able to beat the U.S. mano a mano for offense. They can beat them defensively, and that's how they're built. They're built as a more defensive team. You can look at their defensemen, who are more defensive-minded defensemen than the U.S., who are majority offensive defensemen. That's what it's ultimately going to come down to, is which team can play their systems better. And honestly, I still stand by that it can go either way. 2 very good teams facing off against one another, and we'll see which team comes out on top tomorrow. Bright and early, I may add as well. Huge game coming up. I miss, and I'm not sure if I've said this on this channel or on YouTube, or I know I've said it on social media, but the fact that Sweden has decided to go with basically black as their second color, like it's navy blue, I get it, but it's like a dark navy blue that could be borderline considered black. I was very disappointed to see them get away from the royal blue. The royal blue on yellow looks so good. It's really disappointing. Stumped down deep. That's Ray Kronar. How's the game going? Finland leads by a goal. The Finns have had a lot of the better chances so far. The Slovaks kind of playing pretty similar to how they have all tournament. Got some good goaltending early here as Slafkovský works in, dumps it down deep. Heiskanen moves it around. Heiskanen now. Pass it down. Giernat collects it back for the Slovaks. Move it over to Chernak. .340 left to go in the first period, as we get ever so much closer to our first intermission, where we'll talk about tomorrow's game in a little bit more depth. Big one coming up tomorrow, gold medal, of course, and a bit of how we got here to this bronze medal game for really both these teams. As captain works up now for the Finns, puck taken away by the Slovaks. 3:10 now left to go in this first period. If you only consider WHF tournaments, match was the first between U.S. and Canada and U.S. since 2021 World Championships. 4-2 Canada win. It's actually really interesting. I guess they didn't play. I can't remember if they played at the last Olympics. Granlund now works in. I don't think they did, because Canada was early exits at that tournament. Rim back around. Mikkola down to Faravari, who will clear it out. Dvorsky works up with O'Culiar. O'Culiar knocks it over to Dvorsky, but Mikkola with a good stick knocks that puck away. And will not go for icing, looked like it might have. As the Slovaks collected in their own end. Gok tries to get at the Regenda, but it will be ruled offside. 2:10 left to go now in the first period. Shots are 10-6 for the Finns. Goals are 1-0. And our poll is currently sitting 52 votes in. 56% say Finland's going to take it. 44% say the Slovaks. So a real tight one so far. 2:10 left to go in the first period. in, taken away by Regenda. Tries to move in. Halla over to Heiskanen. Heiskanen to Lindell. Lindell will dump down deep, go in and chase. Knocked over there. Heiskanen. Oh, and Armia fires it down but can't quite get there. As the Finns continue to put on a lot of offensive pressure. Slafkovský with the good move through the neutral zone. Tatar to Gernat. Broken up again. And it's been a bit of a tough sled so far for this Slovak team to really to get much going off the rush. A lot of broken up passes, a lot of kind of staggered defense that have really shut the door so far. And we saw that a little bit yesterday against the Canadians too, but I wouldn't say anything to the level that we're seeing today where Canada had some things going. They were able to get a little bit set up offensively. Slafkovský now to Ruzicka. Slafkovský jams it out front. Tries to get Lichka there, but Mikkola comes back to break it up for the Finns. Oh, and pass out to Lichka. Shot misses way wide of the net. And puck knocked up over the glass. 33 seconds left to go in this first period. A reminder that we will be talking about tomorrow's game, the gold medal game, coming up the first intermission as well. A little bit of how both these teams got to this point. Our second intermission, more answering your questions, and a little bit more of that interaction part, I guess you could say. But a real good start today for the Finns, probably playing the exact game they really wanted to be completely honest. It's a bit of a hold there. And are they going to get called for it? Yep, they are. As the Finns will head to the power play with 25 seconds left to go in this period. Okuliar for the Slovaks with the hold on Heiskanen. Was a bit of an evolving play, but just kind of got his arms wrapped around him and can't do that. He obviously can't do that. So Finland will head to the power play. A huge, huge opportunity for them here. Yeah, and that's one of those calls where it's a rule book call. It sucks. It's terrible to see, but it is a rule book call. So, unfortunately. So it's fired all the way down the ice. 15 seconds left to go in this first period. Heiskanen will pick it up behind his own net. Looking for one last chance here for the Finns. Granlund will dump it down. Hlavai out to play it. Oh, with goaltenders 10 to goal, please. 4 seconds. Heiskanen, passes it off to Aho, who tries to dump to the net, and it will not go. That will end the first period of action. So we are on the first intermission. Finland does lead by a goal. The Slovaks have had not many chances today, a few decent chances as far as quality goes, but overall still trail the Finns by a goal. They're going to need to definitely wake up a little bit at this intermission. We'll see whether or not they're going to be able to do that. You look at these two teams, pretty close, I'd say, in terms of their skill level, and you even look kind of at the other parts of this team. You lose Mikko Rantanen today. For the Finns, it's definitely a tougher sled for them. But in the end, the Finns lead by a goal so far through the first. Slovaks trailing, and now it's a matter of if they're going to be able to get going. Finland, of course, will start on the power play, and so that could be a huge power play in this game, especially if they're going to be able to kind of get it going early. But as promised, our preview for tomorrow's game, Canada takes on the USA, a rematch of the Four Nations Face-Off final from earlier this year. You look at these two, it's so tight. Right, and I know a lot of people say, well, Canada won, and that's why they're the great, but at the same time, the U.S. won last year as well, and most people seem to forget about that game. At just how dominant the U.S. was in it, and the gold medal rolls around, and yes, right, Canada looks better, but they didn't look good early on in that tournament. I think you can contribute that to a wide number of factors, but the U.S., they're going to come out flying out of the gates tomorrow. For Canada, it's going to ultimately come down to if they can play well defensively. And if they can play well defensively, there's a decent shot for them to go out and win. But I do think that you kind of look at their path to get here, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster where their first 3 games in the prelims, blowout games, nothing close. They really enjoyed success early on, very little adversity. And the beautiful part about these tournaments is you never do that. And there's always a game of adversity somewhere in there. And typically, you always are looking for that game to be earlier in the tournament instead of the gold medal game, ideally in a game where it doesn't matter as much as, say, a medal game or really in a knockout game for that matter. But the Canadians coming into this tournament had faced zero adversity, and they walked all over their competition. They won in blowout fashion, and then their opening quarterfinal game came, right? And you see them play against the Czechs. The Czechs, a team that they already beat once and beat badly once at this tournament. And I think you look at the way that the Czechs play, the way that the Czechs are composed, they were always going to be a problem for Canada. I think even in our prediction video, we had that game 4-2 maybe or 4-3. I can't remember the exact score, but that opening game between Czechia and Canada, I'd say was the bigger surprise between the overtime game where they were really close and the Czechs led for most of it, and the blowout game is that close game, that overtime game, I'd say was more expected. And maybe less so to North American fans who don't really know what the Czechs do at these tournaments because North American bias and such. But I do think that the Canadians and the Czechs are a lot tighter than most people might have given it credit for at the start of the tournament. And then, of course, you follow it up with their game yesterday against the Finns, where you lose Sidney Crosby in the game against the Czechs. He's not available to go against the Finns. And this game, I wouldn't say was that surprising of a game. I mean, the Finns are always a tough team to beat. They play extremely defensive, and if they get a chance, they're probably going to bury it. And Canada gave them 2 chances, and they scored on both of them. And then from there, you just saw the Canadian team start to go in a bit of a panic. They got desperate. They started to score, and that definitely calmed the nerves a little bit. But you could see the intensity slowly but surely start to increase as that game got more towards the end. And then the final 35 seconds of that game, of course, Nathan McKinnon with the winner. We were live for that game yesterday. And so a huge goal, right, for the Canadians to get themselves into this gold medal game. But by no means of the imagination was it a good stretch for them, right? And they had a great start to the tournament. Played some of the best hockey we've seen. Reminded a lot of people, including myself, kind of what it means to have one of the best teams on paper at these tournaments. And then we saw it into that quarterfinal against the Czechs, yesterday against the Finns, that you still have to play your game if you want to go out and win. And the Finns are always a tough team, right? And we've seen that even at Four Nations. We saw that. They've already beaten the Swedes so far at the Olympics. We saw, obviously, the Slovaks upset the Finns earlier in the tournament. But the Finns very much designed to go up in games and try and hold the lead. And unfortunately for them, they just spent a little bit too much time holding the lead yesterday against Canada, where that game, you play that game again, I don't know if Canada ends up coming back or not, but it's just part of the joy of it, right? And for the U.S., it's been a bit of a rocky road, I'd say, and even in their group play. I wouldn't say that they were the best team we've seen, especially at this tournament, where you look across the way and Canada blowing out their group. I would say for the U.S., it was a bit of a mixed bag, and they had some good games. You know, they blew out Latvia. They were able to pull off a win against the Danes. That game was a testy 1-2, where the Danes just kind of really held in that game longer than they probably should have. And then, of course, the other game against Germany, where we saw the U.S. kind of find their groove. And that game, then going into a really tough quarterfinal, was a lot of, in my eyes at least, was a momentum builder. A huge win against the Swedes in that quarterfinal, where we saw the U.S. play a lot of defense, which I'm not sure many people, including myself, were anticipating to see how defensive that game got. It was always going to be decided by goaltending. It was always going to be decided how well they played defensively. But we saw the U.S. get up, and then they sat on the lead. And unfortunately, as we've really seen throughout this tournament, the more you try and sit on that lead and play strictly defense, the more you're going to struggle. And we saw that with the Swedes coming back, forcing overtime, having quite a few good quality chances in overtime. But in the end, the U.S., of course, pulls out the win, a 2-1 win at that. And then came along the semifinal game, right? And the semifinals, Slovakia, who we're seeing today, against the U.S. The U.S. gets up early. And when the U.S. gets up early, especially with 4 goals against the Slovaks, none, you're not going to be able to come back. And then the Slovaks changed their goaltending out. And I wouldn't say that game was that much of a surprise either. You look at that game, they were expected to dominate. They dominated, and they played well. And then towards the end, the Slovaks kind of bounced back a little bit. They started to play some pretty good hockey in that third period, trying to build some momentum into this game. But everyone knew that game was over by the point that we saw the Slovaks kind of get their mojo back, which then leads us into, once again, Canada, the USA in the gold medal game, the best rivalry in all of sports. Sorry, Swedes and Finns, I'm taking this one. It's going to be a great game, and it's going to be a heated game. Some might say a heated rivalry, but you look at the way that these two teams play, the amount that they know each other. You're going to have the goon line of Canada composed of Brad Marchand, Sam Bennett, and Tom Wilson going up against the goon line of the Americans with Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, and Jack Eichel, although he's not much of a goon, to be completely honest. But it's ultimately going to come down to which team is going to be able to play their game the best. And we've seen glimpses from both of these teams as to whether their best hockey can look like. The U.S. yesterday against the Slovaks, I thought was some of the best hockey that they've played throughout this tournament. But at the same time, they also need to make sure they are taking care of it defensively, because teams like Canada are going to walk all over you if you give them the opportunities to do so, because you really can only throttle down on teams for so long before they find a chance or they find an opportunity. You make a mistake and they come back the other way. And that's kind of how this Canadian team is built in a way as well. It's going to be a tough game, right? And I think as much as you get the extra day of rest, there's some injuries right now. Crosby's down. They showed a report of them of Crosby at the intermission. I don't think there was anything that important said. But you look at that, and it's always going to be an interesting one. It's going to ultimately come down to, as I'm looking at reports now, so there is a 70% chance Sidney Crosby plays in the gold medal game tomorrow, which basically means there's a 30% chance he is basically not well enough to go. Basically, if you think about it in that sense, there's about a 95% chance that he's not good to play tomorrow. And the rest of that percentile is basically he's going to be on the bench. How much of an impact he will have, I doubt it will be much, to be completely honest. Yes, he's one of the best players to ever don a Canadian uniform, but there's also the factor of, well, he's going to be hurt. He's not going to be his normal self. You rely upon him for so much more than his leadership. And don't get me wrong, a great leader. We've seen what this Canadian team is without him. But he's also a very skilled player on this Canadian team, which they're going to need going up against one of the best U.S. teams they've put together in ages. And so it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow. And I think it's one that could go either way. I think the U.S., if Crosby plays, I think you look at, is the U.S. favored? Is Canada favored? I think it's just one of those coin flip type games. Yes, Canada has kind of that superstar talent where they have the best players in the world, right? With McKinnon, McDavid, Makar. But the U.S. has the depth, and that's the biggest difference. It's kind of like the game between we saw earlier in the tournament between Slovakia and Germany, where for the Slovaks, right, that Slovak game was their depth ended up winning them that game compared to the German star talent, right? Where Draisaitl went cold, Stützle went cold. And so there's only so much your star talent can do, especially when you get into a scoring battle like what happened in that game. And so if teams like the US can find that depth scoring, get contribution from across their lineup, they're going to do just fine in this one. And it wouldn't surprise me to see them come out with the victory tomorrow. But if the Canadian star talent can get going, you have big performances from that Armageddon line, assuming it's back together with McKinnon, McDavid, and Celebrini, there is a chance for Canada to go out and win that game. I think it's a lot closer than most people give it credit for. A lot of people say, well, the U.S., they're trying to pull off a miracle, but they're not. And I know the other fun fact that tomorrow, February the 22nd, is the date that Miracle on Ice happened back when the USA beat the Soviets back in 1980. They then went on to win their last game to win the gold medal. And a reminder how that tournament worked too, and I think a lot of people kind of forget about that tournament, and I know we're getting off topic here, so we'll get back to the Finns and the Slovaks here in a second, but you think about that Miracle on Ice tournament back in 1980, there were no playoffs. There were no this thing, right? This bracket that we're seeing here, that wasn't a thing, and basically it was a round robin. Whoever ended up winning the round robin won, and so we saw that part. Obviously, there was a playoff system, but it was kind of round robin. So if they lost that last game, there was a pretty good chance that the Soviets, because of their goal differential, ended up higher than them, which is very funny to even think that the Miracle on Ice happened a game before what was basically what it should have. And so they lose that next game, they end up losing the tournament. So it's interesting, right? And it's fascinating to think about going back in time for that tournament. Honestly, it was, 26 plus 20, so 46 years ago. But still, I think it very well, obviously the U.S., a lot of history with that tournament. Their last time winning a gold medal. For Canada, it was the 2014 tournament, the last time NHL players were allowed back. It's been 12 years since then. You saw our preview video intro for everyone who has. If you haven't, it's funny. But it's going to be a great game. Canada, the USA for gold, there's nothing better, right? And the stories that are built from those games, I think even the Crosby golden goal tomorrow, wouldn't surprise me to see it go to overtime. We're going to see probably one of the better games at the Olympics we've seen in probably 12 years' time. Yes, there's been some good ones, but especially for us North American fans who haven't had NHL players and have kind of been dominated in that respect for the last few years, or last two Olympic tournaments, it's going to be great to see best on best action finally back for a chance to win Olympic gold. But back to the topic at hand, we have a great game so far here, Finland and the Slovaks, kind of how they've gotten here. You think about the Finns, right? And obviously two teams out of the Group B. They played each other in the opener. The Slovaks rather took home the big win off their opening rip, a 4-1 win at that. The Finns then respond, of course, with beating the Swedes 4-1 in their game. And then all of a sudden, the Finns are, okay, well, how far can you really go? They pummel the living daylights out of the Italians, which is one of the worst games I think we've ever seen. Very much expected, and we talked about how the systems work for the Italians. Jukka Jalonen, the coach, or the former coach rather, for the Finns for a wide variety of years. He was a huge part of the Italian team, and the reason why they were so competitive, introducing the Finnish trap style to the Italian team, a dominant, and they played really well. They nearly beat the Slovaks. But when you know the system well enough, it's pretty easy to try and get through. And so we saw the Finns really dominate that system, come out with a huge win, which then led into the quarterfinals for them. And they played the Swiss who just got through Italy, a 3-0 win against Italy. And once again, the Swiss go up early, and they're up 2-0. The third period rolls around. The Finns get an early one in the third. Then all of a sudden, you're waiting. The Finns score late, or a little bit later, I guess, or however you want to look at the early part of that third period. Force overtime, and then you look at that game, and you know something's coming. And the Finns completely dominant since the Swiss went up. The Swiss trying to shut it down, park the bus for our soccer fans or football fans. But they just fell short. And then the Finns took as much momentum as they could get. They end up winning that game 3-2. Then they play the semifinals against the Canadians, who are coming off of a tough game against the Czechs. They go up early in that game, basically do the exact same thing that the Swiss do, and try and park the bus. And then all of a sudden, Canada comes back, and they end up winning with 35 seconds left. Nathan McKinnon on the power play from a low-angle shot gets it by Saros to put Canada into the gold medal game and send the Finns to the bronze. For the Slovaks, it's been a little bit of a different type tournament. And you think to their story where, the Slovak team kind of find their way through. They end up taking it, obviously. But they win the group. They win their first game against the Finns. They beat Italy by a tight margin. That game was way closer than I probably should have. And then, of course, they keep going. Right? And they keep going and they keep going until it's kind of too late against the Swedes, where they need one goal to end up taking the group. And they're waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting. They get a power play with seconds or minutes to go left in that third period. They score. They get themselves the goal differential. Sweden pulls their goalie little too late. And Slovaks end up taking it. They go into their quarterfinal against the Germans, not necessarily favored. They win it 6-2. They lose 6-2 to the Americans, and that brings us to today as the second period now, as I do apologize for rushing that last part through, but time has crept up, and we are back underway for second period action here between Finland and the Slovaks. The Finns do start on the power play here. 1:10 left to go in the power play, 19:35 left to go in the second period. Shots are 10-6 entering this one as the Finns start here. And we cleared all the way down by the Slovak team. I realize I haven't checked the chat in a while, so I apologize for that. Went on a bit of a tangent there. Aho over to Lehkonen, to Heiskanen to the point to Granlund. Granlund holds it, skates around the circle. Armia tries to go for a jam pass play to Lehkonen, can't. And the puck will be cleared all the way down by Trezniak for the Slovaks. As the Finnish power play with 20 seconds left. Teravainen to Hintz in the middle. Can't find it. Kapanen. Circles back. Shot. Saved by Lavai. Lindell. Down to Teravainen. To Hintz. Shot. Misses just wide. Oh. And... it looks to be a mask issue. 1 second left on the Finnish power play. Shots are 11-6 as Lavai's mask did explode on that play. Tolvanen with the shot that knocked it loose. As the Finnish power play will be coming to an end basically as soon as this puck is dropped here. 18:26 left to go in the second period. We will see. And the power play expires. Shot from the point. Blocked out front. Ristolainen to Lindell. Lindell to Luosterainen. Luosterainen stops on a dime. Passes it out front. Oh, and there's a scramble play out front of the net. Both the Slovak defender and Lavai. Jumbo Luosterainen tries to pass across crease to Kakko. Can't connect. Slovaks pick it back up and look back up ice. Oh, but picked off. Okuliar shoots. Saved by Saros. Rebound. Cleared away by the Finns. Slovaks with a huge opportunity there. 3-on-2 evolving off a picked off pass. Slafkovský into Nemetz. Back to Slafkovský. Back to Nemetz. Over to Slafkovský. Nemetz shot from the point. Redirected. Saved by Saros. That one kept in again by the Slovak. Oh, there's a hook. No call coming. Stumped all the way down. Marincin now collects it back behind the net for the Slovaks. Dvorsky carries it in. Works in. Oh, and cleared out. That appears to be a penalty for delay of game. The Slovaks will head to their first power play of the game. Hala will be called for delay game penalty. And now a huge opportunity coming for this Slovak team. We'll see if they're going to be able to capitalize here. You talk about chances over a given game. Hala just roofs it. Not really sure where he was trying to go with that. That was an unforced penalty but there for the Finns. And then the Slovaks led to their first power play of this game. Huge opportunity here. Tatar up to Nemitz. Slafkovský over to Dvorsky shot. Tipped out in front. Slafkovský. Oh, and misses on the rebound chance. Huge opportunity there. Shot over the net. Heiskanen would dump it down. Kicked in by Slafkovský at the line. Tatar tries to jam it through. Can't as Aho works back the other way on Slafkovský. But Slafkovský comes across to pick it up. Nemitz wanders his way in. Fire it down deep. Saros out to play. Tries to clear it. Can't, but kept in at the line. But it will bounce out to center ice. Slovaks go back to pick it up. Slafkovský with it. Oh, but nearly turned over there. Dvorsky picks up the pass. Dvorsky. To Ruzicka. Dvorsky down to Slafkovský. Slafkovský wheels it back. Kuliar to Nemitz. Down to Dvorsky. Dvorsky still with the puck. Slafkovský looks for a tip out front. Can't. Luosterainen takes the puck and will fire it down the ice. 25 seconds left to go in the Slovak power play. Who to check? Slovak shot from the point. Big save there by Saros. And 3 seconds left to go in the Slovak power play. Likely will do it. We'll see if there's any kind of stretch pass coming out of the box. But does appear, at least at this point, that this power play will come to an end. A pretty good power play too, I may add. A lot of really high quality chances. Things you'd like to see for the Slovaks, especially being down a goal at this point, as the power play will come to an end here. It's fired all the way down. As we do check our poll, 74 votes in, 59% for the Finns, 41% say the Slovaks. If you haven't already, be sure to go vote in that poll as well as hit the like and subscribe button so you never miss one of these live streams, you never miss one of our uploads. We do a wide range of international hockey content. And so if you've enjoyed watching the Olympics, please, please, please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell so you're always notified when we do an upload or go live, like we are today. Sukal down to Trezniak. Slovaks work it back in. Faravari tries it. Solaric. But Aho picks up the puck. Tries to stretch pass. Knocked away. Tatar with the shot. Misses just wide. Chernak. Across the line to Marincin. Shot from the point, misses wide. A lot of real good chances for the Slovak team, but just can't quite find it through onto Saros. A lot of traffic in front, too, looking for rebounds clearly. Teravainen walks in. Oh, and a high stick. No call there. Could have very much been ruled a high stick. Especially after yesterday. You think about all the importance of what a high stick call can do for a game. Definitely a tough one. Passed in, Marincin. Will sky it. Kenda. Fires it. Saved by Saros. And will be shelled all the way back down. Slovaks back for the icing. And the puck will be dropped in the Finnish end. One thing I will say that I'm a little bit surprised of, and I understand why they're doing it, with obviously both Slafkovský and Dvorsky being centers, is why they don't stack up that one line and try the Armageddon style, at least once a shift or every once in a while. You think about kind of that star talent and how it can feed off each other, could become a very interesting factor. So Nemetz works down Slafkovský, Zichka tied up along the boards, but kept in. Slovak pressure now. We're seeing a lot more of that, kind of that desperation factor, if you will. We saw it a little bit yesterday in that game against Canada. Ryan fires it around the boards. Armia down to Haula. Haula tries to clear it out front, can't. Heiskanen shot. Looks for a deflection wide. Haula works behind the net for the Finns. Down to Tolvanen. Tolvanen up to Heiskanen. Heiskanen shot blocked, cleared back out to center. Tolvanen now will come behind, pick up the pass. Haula with it now. Haula works in. Shot, scores! Erik Haula puts the Finns up 2 goals in the bronze medal game. It was an awkward zone entry, so they might be looking at this for an offside. But with 11:55 to go, the Finns have taken a 2-0 lead in this one and are looking very, very strong. Although, once again, I will remind everybody what happened yesterday. As the resident Canadian, just because you're up 2 goals, and up 2 goals early, after an Erik Haula goal, doesn't mean you're going to end up on top. This puck is dropped, and there will be no challenge there. Haula the goal from Armia and Tolvanen at 28:05. A huge goal for the Finns on that one. Lehkonen fire it down deep. Oh, it's save. Oh, and a disaster. Oh, and a save again. Lavai went to play the puck, missed it, and all chaos broke loose in front of the Slovak goal, nearly resulting in a chance. Hudacek works in. Hudacek shot, saved by Saros. As the Finns will look back up ice. A little more of the back and forth action. Here we go. Mikkola shot, saved by Lavai. Also, what happened to Switzerland? Yeah, that's right. Feels like it's been a few of those games now at this point. Yeah, the 2-0 lead, the most unwanted lead in all of hockey, or all of Olympic hockey, I guess. Yeah, yesterday, Rantanen with the first goal, Haula with the second goal. And, in today's game, obviously, Haula had the second goal. Aho with the first goal today. So you look kind of that star player, and then Erik Haula goals. We'll see whether or not they are going to do what they did yesterday. Reminder that the Canadians scored one late in the second period. They've scored one halfway through the third period, and then they scored with 35 or 36, however many seconds were left at that point in the game. Alternatively, you can be the USA and win 6-2. Yep. Finland's hockey and football kits are top-notch. They really are. The one, I did it again. The one over here, this Finnish jersey, it's one of my favorite of all time international hockey jerseys. Love it. I think it's probably one of the best jerseys. I love the sleeves on it too, or the arms. I think it's one of the best, if not the best. And also credit to the Slovaks this year for their Olympic jerseys. We talk a lot about really, really bad jerseys at these tournaments. And the Canada Black jersey is just really weird. I know that they aren't using it in the actual tournament, but that one's just an odd look. And then the France one wasn't great this year. I wasn't a huge fan of that one. Thought they could have done a lot more and kind of bring back the old Rooster. I'm a huge fan of that Rooster jersey. I think what other bad ones there were. So we're back underway. 11 minutes now left to play in the second period. Hintz works it out. What other bad jerseys were there? There were a few of them. I know that much. Someone will remind me. Heiskanen fires it up and clears out. I don't know what other bad ones there are. Oh, the German yellow one I wasn't a huge fan of. Thought that they should have kept with their whites because their whites look really good as well instead of the yellow. And they're black or whichever one they got rid of this year. Obviously, Sweden's are always nice. Some of the best jerseys of all time. Canada's, I like their white with the red leaf. I'm not a huge fan of the red with the black leaf. I thought that I don't really know why we're going with the black leaf. I've been very much against that since they did it last year, their last Olympics too. But, I mean, to each their own. Just moved up. Beautiful passing play there in the neutral zone by the Slovaks. Cleared all the way down. Lindell dumps it off for Heiskanen. Zichka knocked over by Heiskanen. A little bit of cross-check down there in the corner. As we hit the halfway mark in the second period, score is still 2-0 for Finland as they work back the other way. 2-on-1. Luosterainen with Lundell. Luosterainen shot saved by Labai. Stretch pass. Oh, a big hit there. Joki Harju there in the area. Kellerman. Lehkonen works up. Kapanen dump up front, looking for a Finnish stick. Aho collects it down on the half wall. Aho works around, waits, dumps it out to the point for Mata. Over to Aho. Aho down to Mata, shoots, saved by Hlavai. He's looked good. Hlavai's looked very good so far. Okay, what did I miss? Minor detail, and probably something no one else other than me cares about, but I wish goals are always reported based on total goal time. Like the Hall goal at 28:05 just feels easier to follow. That's fair. And it's funny because I was looking back on, I can't remember which game it would have been, but it was one of the old World Juniors games, and they counted up. So basically they, like instead of them counting down, like what we see now with like second period 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, they counted up. So it was like kind of like soccer, football, where they just counted on top. So like the first period was like 0 to 20. Then the second period was 20 to 40, and then 40 to 60. And it was kind of interesting to see how that's changed over the years because now you count down instead of up. So kind of interesting how the North American side has really impacted that part. But I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to see because that was probably the 05 World Juniors, maybe 06 or 07, but kind of later on as far as that goes. But definitely interesting. Slovaks, this is real agony. They will lose like they did with the U.S. Time will tell. And I will say that, yes, although the Slovaks, not a great start to this one, they've definitely picked it up, right? And they've been finding it. They've been playing better. Yes, it's always going to be a tough sled against them, but it will be interesting. Finland, Lithuania are notable exceptions in Europe for not having football. It's its favorite team sport. What's Lithuania's basketball, I'd assume? Finland and Canada are two countries where ice hockey is the most popular spectator sport, Latvia being the third, which makes sense. Oh, and a collision there out front, and they are going to take someone out of that pile as some rough stuff after the whistle. Not entirely sure what happened. Oh, his Lehkonen is incensed right now. Pushing off the referee. Not entirely sure. When he fell right on top of Lavi there. A tough kind of falls in and goes right over top of Lavi. Lots to be mad about for Lavi. It did appear that they called a second penalty there, though, that we didn't see. Maybe not. Maybe they're just pointing at him. But the Slovaks will go to a very important power play here. Lehkonen with the goal. Arturi Lehkonen with the penalty there for goaltender interference. We'll see whether or not that is going to come back to haunt this Finnish team. Ruzicka lines up against Lundell. Dvorsky, Tatar, Nemec, and Slafkovský for the Slovaks. Lundell, I assume Luosterainen was with them. Yeah, Luosterainen's with them for the Finns. So the Slovaks turn it back up. A huge opportunity here for them to get themselves within a goal. Think about kind of turning points in a game. This is definitely going to be one of them. Ruzicka carries it forward to Slafkovský. Slafkovský up to Nemec. Dvorsky shot. Stick explodes. Ruzicka tied up along the boards. Tipped out to Luosterainen, who will skate up with it. And instead of dumping it down, gives it off to Heiskanen to kill a little bit more time off the clock. As the Finns will dump it all the way back down to the Slovak end. Minute 20 now left to go on the Slovak power play. Nemec walks in with it. Over to Tatar. To Dvorsky. Dvorsky cross ice, but broken up. Armia now back the other way. With Haula. Over to Armia, tip play in front. Misses just off the end of his stick. Oh, Armia now. Armia tries to feed it over to Haula all alone. Misses it. Tough start to this one so far. Lundell whiffs on it. Fires it down. Nemec tries to work it up. Less than 8 to go now. 7:32 now to go left in that second period. 25 seconds left on the Slovak power play. Hudacek works it over. Kuliar's shot. Oh, and shot by the Slovaks and saved by Gernat's shot. Saved by Saros there. Great save by Saros coming way across on a bit of that rebound type. Just finds its way on Armia all alone bound the other side and just off the outstretched stick. Could have been a huge chance to go up 3-0 and really solidify it. Over here. 7:21 left to go in the second. Power play with 14 seconds left. Gernat holds. Gernat up to the point, broken up. Okuliar with a diving play to keep it in. Okuliar works up. Tresniak shot. Saved by Saros. And that'll do it for the Slovak power play. Dangerous minute here still. As the Finns look to try and get it out and get on a change. Regenda past Okuliar. Misses just wide. Down to Regenda. Down to Okuliar. Okuliar with the winding. Tries it, but can't find it through. Shot from the point. Saved by Saros. And the Finns will break it back up the other way. Teravainen with a good move. Looks the backdoor feed to Lehkonen on the backside as he tries to run through the goaltender yet again. Congrats, Canada. Curling gold medal. Curling gold medal. Curling gold medal. What curling gold medal were they going for? I know they were going for bronze on the women's side today. They win gold as well? On the men's side, maybe? Oh, the men's side won. Canada won the gold medal on the men's tournament side. Hopefully a sign of good things to come. A huge, I think that's what, their 4th or 5th gold. As once again, the score in this one, 2-0. Finland leads so far. Finland leads in the shot total, 20-16. 6:10 to go in this period. It's been a pretty dominant start, really, for the Finnish team as they break up 2-on-1. Halla with Tolvanen. Halla shoots. Saved by Lavi. 6 to go now in the second period. It's been quite the start. Thank you for doing the stream. BBC are showing bobsled and curling instead. That is actually really unfortunate. And I think CBC is as well, actually. This is part of the... They like to pick their events, and they probably actually have this on television. I'm not entirely sure. Latvia qualified for Euro 2004 and drew 0-0 with Germany. Latvians celebrate like they'd won gold. Well, it's always interesting, right? And we always talk about, especially at these tournaments, is every team has a different objective, I'd say, and especially at IIHF tournaments where there's relegation involved as well, is we see that, especially in games that you might watch and say, well, it's a meaningless game. It typically isn't for teams that are trying to go, whether they're trying to avoid relegation, whether they're trying to win, whatever they're trying to do. I just think there's a lot of different factors that actually end up playing into it that a lot of people don't really consider. So it's interesting. And so anyway, exciting to say nonetheless. Whether or not, I'm trying to think of something from this tournament. Oh, a good example of it was the Italy game on the women's side. The Italians made it to the quarterfinals, not expected to do it, but they beat Japan and they had a huge celebration. Or you think about it for the Slovaks when they lost to Sweden by 2 goals instead of 3 goals. How excited they were about it, because it meant that they had a very, very good chance to go on to the eventual semifinals and play for a chance at a medal. And I think, yes, there's certain times where you get excited about stuff that not necessarily you were expecting. And one of the big ones, too, right, is you think to the World Juniors when the Czechs have continuously beat Canada every year. Their celebration gets very big because not expected to do it, and they pull it off. So it is interesting to see kind of how each team and each country and each nation has a little bit of that different animal. Chernak, shoot from the point. Lots of traffic in front. Tatar follows it up but can't find it through. A lot more offensive pressure we've been seeing from the Slovak team. They've kind of gone away from it. You can feel the desperation factor starting to kick in a little bit more. Their defense being a little bit less heavy. Saho gets stripped up down in the corner. Aho tries to work it around but picked off by the Slovaks. It'll be tied down deep. Moves it up. Heiskanen with Slafkovský now. Breaks it out. Lundell, but kept in at the line. Now will be cleared out and go for the length of the ice. Not for icing, though. Marincin moves it up to Regenda. Back down to Marincin. Shuffles it over. Fire it down deep into the Finnish end. 4:42 left to go in the second period. Oh, and low looking for the jam play in front. Can't find it through. Kakko tries up for Lundell, but taken away. Slovaks, the much better team here over the last 5 or so minutes. We're starting to see the Finns do pretty similar what they did yesterday, where they're just completely collapsing now. Not a lot of pressure going back the other way, but you'd think after yesterday they'd start to realize that there's only so much you can do. Shot! Tolvanen misses just over the net, as I was talking about how they don't play offense. Respect to Slovakia from Finland. It's been a great game so far, really. I mean, you look at these two teams, pretty similar, especially with Mikko Rantanen out. Yes, the Slovaks took the opener, but the Finns still definitely favored in this game. NBC Live on YouTube TV. How do you see this finishing out? I see this game finishing out with the Finns on top. I think yesterday we said 5-2 was our final, or maybe 6-2. I can't remember where we finished off on that. It was always going to be tight, especially coming in. You lose Rantanen as well. That's just another defensive player you add into the lineup with Kapanen in. So I don't mind it. I think especially in these kind of games where you go up and you can find those goals. Tolvanen walks across. Shot! Save by Hlavaj. Again, another huge save by the Slovakian goaltender. I do think that, yes, as much as for the Finns, another defensive forward helps. I was a little worried about their ability to score goals, and that's been answered early here. So I think you add him instead of Rantanen in. It's obviously a downgrade, but it is still another good, solid player who fits within the tournament structure. It's the same thing as Barkov, right? And when Barkov goes down, you look, okay, who's next? And the Finns have enough players that, and a lot of substitutable players, especially in the system. But in the end, you would have liked to have him. And that very well could have been a difference between in their game against Canada, where you have him in the lineup. That's another center down the middle who can very much help kind of neutralize some threats. I'm not sure. Yogi, are you now? Drop it down deep into the Slovak end. Hintz with the puck. Up to Mata. Mata shoots. Tipped. Blocked out front. Ooh, and a big interference hit there. No call as everyone stops thinking there would be a call. Hintz gingerly back to the bench. And you'd think after the last few days, really, just how many injuries there's been, that the NHL would start to consider not sending their players to the next Olympic Games, which is unfortunate, right? But it is also part of it, and I think that's where you have to look at it and say, well, there is an argument to be made for both sides, and unfortunately, that's part of the reason why we haven't seen them over the last 12 years. Is because of the injury factor, and we see it across any tournament you do. Four Nations was the same, where teams kind of struggle, but I don't know. Definitely a tough one. Heiskanen now works down the half wall. Tries to shuffle off to Aho, but can't. .233 left to go in the second period. Shots 22-18 for the Finns. The goals, where it counts, 2-0 for Team Finland. As Lehkonen takes down the Slovak, no call coming though. Dvorsky up to who to check. Dvorsky to Slafkovský, and they're starting to go with that Armageddon line we've seen from the Canadians a little bit too. Where you put all your best players on one line and see what happens. Kind of an interesting move there. Lundell to Kakko. Kakko shoots, misses just wide of the net. Ruzicka. And it looks like that might have just changed. Slafkovský holds, waits, tries to saucer it over to Koch, but can't find him. Kakko shifts it over to Luosterainen. 1:30 now to go. Chernak sits it behind the net with under 1:30 left to go in the second period. They're going to need a chance, I'd say. They need at least, I'd say if you can get a goal here, there's a chance. Slafkovský shoots, saved by Saros. Tipped off the backside. And Saros holding on for dear life. 1:14 left to go in the second period. Finland qualified for Euro 2021, defeated Denmark. However, Danish player Eriksson had a cardiac arrest. Finland in this game have picked their moments to attack and played a low block in defense. Very clever energy management. That's part of their style too, right? And they're well known for what we call on this channel as the Finnish trap style. It's also what the Italians have played all tournament long, where they basically just wait for you to make a mistake. And that's why they're so dangerous, is because they're content with playing 60 minutes of defense. And if you don't make any mistakes, then they're going to be okay with that. And you see, especially when they go down in games, like their system doesn't work if they're down. It works when they're winning because you're content with playing defense. But if you need goals, teams accept that, okay, if you're just going to play defense, I'm not going to force anything. So it's a bit of a mix of both. And when you're up, it's easier. You get the first goal, it's a lot easier. And we even saw their game against Canada yesterday where the Canadians just kept forcing it. And when you keep going north, at some point something breaks. And, Tatar all alone scores! Tomáš Tatar for Slovakia on a really weird developing play. Rimmed around the boards, hits off the dasher, kicks right out onto Tomáš Tatar's stick, and he deposits it 2-1 now. And we just were talking about how the Slovaks were going to need a goal here. Was that offside, though? Oh, no, they were all in. Yeah, weird play. Kicked off the dasher, and Saros scrambling back into his net, unable to make the save. Forehand, backhand. Kicks off the pad of Saros, but just over. And Tomáš Tatar has given the Slovaks a chance in this game, bringing it back within a goal. 2-1 now. A late goal. Does that sound familiar to anybody? I'm trying to remember where I've heard that before. A late goal with 30 seconds left in the period brings the Slovaks back within one. Wow. So you're telling me there's a chance. Shot wide. Saros with a good save there. Stands up. Last minute chance shot by the Slovaks and cleared out by the Finns. After 2 periods of play, we are tied at 2-1. A good start for really both sides. I think this is where you'd want to be if you're the Slovaks. Obviously, you don't want to be down 2 goals, but within one, and a huge, and they're showing now a gold medal for Canada, which in the men's Olympic curling event, I wonder if they double touched the stones anymore. Obviously, I'm kidding. I know that's a joke, but that was a whole weird saga as well. Just kind of how that all ended up working out. I hope we don't choke the 2-goal lead again. For the Finnish sake, I hope not as well. But I'm excited really to see what is to come so far in this game. You think about how tight these two teams have been. Think about how that first game went between these two. This one truly is a toss-up type game, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see which way it ends up falling, because it is going to be a tight one. I honestly wish that was a European rival for NHL to ensure more top players compete. Tomáš Tatar, yeah. I honestly wish that was a European rival for NHL to ensure more top players compete in IIHF and Olympics. That's fair, and I think part of the problem is there is nothing, and there probably will never be nothing. But it's part of the beauty of it is when you have all the best players in one league, you lose a lot of that negotiating power. And we've seen it a little bit with this event too, where a lot of the NHL staff, management, brass, whatever you want to call them, have had a lot of say over this tournament, more so than really any other tournament, where the IIHF, notorious for weak calls, suspensions over hits, and really all like that kind of issue. I think you look at how much say that the NHL has had this year over it, and it has been quite a bit, and the European refs, or not the European refs, but significantly less European refs compared to NHL refs, they've really kind of cracked down on a lot of the weaker calls at these tournaments, and a lot of the hit to the heads haven't been called. There's been a lot of downgraded major penalties, I'd say more so than in years past. And it is a bit of an interesting move where they're trying to appeal to the NHL because they have to, because they want the best players in the world competing. They haven't had it, right? But I do think that if they're going to continue this, they need to make sure that the NHL players are protected. The only league that even comes remotely close to the NHL skill level is the KHL, and then that's fair too, right? And the other leagues with Russia down have had definitely an uptick in terms of skill. Like You can see what the Finnish Elite League has been up. The German Dell is up. What else? Swedish Hockey League's up. Like they're all improving because obviously they have to kind of take over some talent from North America. But we have seen definitely a downtick as far as the skill level goes. As far as the gap goes between the NHL and the European leagues. European leagues should band together into a single league, and they may have a chance to rival the NHL. That's an interesting thought too, where you just have like a massive Europe league, and that's one that I think you could make an argument for it. And I think that's where I think it's called Champions Hockey League maybe, or something along those lines, where they do host, or Continental Cup where they host, or Spengler Cup where they host kind of a big tournament across Europe. I think that could be a really cool way to kind of introduce the game a little bit more and kind of improve those leagues and get players to try and stay at home. But it's always tough, right? And the money's a big factor. That's definitely part of it. There's skill level, which is a huge part of it as well. And you need to try and do what the NHL does. And the NHL, I still believe this, is going to try and expand internationally at some point. That's not based on anything. That's more so just you look at what's kind of going on, and I think they're trying to grow the game globally. If they can grow it to a certain point, you add another league. You add, say, a Europe conference where you have a North American conference and a Europe conference who compete every year for the Stanley Cup, which I think would be a fascinating development too. You think about kind of the expansion, right? Because at some point you run out of teams in North America that you can go to. I think Quebec gets a team before, say, Sweden does, but I think that there is a potential, especially with how much they've been really trying to go and do it. So I think that's just an interesting thing. I mean, you think about kind of how quickly this game has grown, and especially over the last few years too, and with the NHL players going back to the Olympics, you can expect that to continue growing. The last, 8 years, but with the last 2 Olympic tournaments, 12 years since then, they haven't had that one big event that everybody watches. Everyone tries, in North America, they try and do the Winter Classic every year. That always falls on its face, and even that tournament has been getting progressively worse as the years go on. They're trying to sell in markets that don't necessarily want it, and so that's entertaining to see how few people actually go to those events. But there is a factor to kind of keep an eye on, that you can say, well, at some point we stop growing North America-wise. Maybe you go Mexico, you could go there, but probably not as much demand for it. Then you say, well, what's next? And I think Europe's a very viable option. Halavai's the boss. He's been playing exceptionally well so far. And really, he's probably the only reason why this game is as tight as it's been, right? 2-1 game, Finland and the Slovaks. Could go either way, right? And you take Halavai out of the net, this game is probably 4-1, 5-1, just with the amount of pressure the Finns have had going back the other way. And yes, we're going to see this third period probably be a little bit more of that defensive type battle, but it's still going to be a great game. And that's kind of the beauty of it. We'll see which team comes out on top. We'll see whether or not we're going to have some overtime in this one. And I am going to give myself a prompt here and probably go on a 3 or 4 minute monologue. But the fact that we have 3-on-3 overtime for gold is dumb. It's dumb. It's terrible. Like, I don't understand who wants that. Gold medal game, it's not, it's so dumb. It should be 5-on-5 hockey. And everyone, I believe at least, would agree with me on that. Because no one wants a game to be decided quickly, right? We want to see it drag out. We want to see them play best on best. And especially for tomorrow's game, right? Where, I mean, you think kind of down the line there, I am very excited to see kind of what's to come there, because I know already that the 3-on-3 is going to make someone lose their mind. But it's going to be fascinating. 3-on-3 overtime needs to get rid of. They need to get rid of it, because yes, it's good in the NHL. Yes, it's good because you do need those games to end. But in a gold medal game, it needs to be 5-on-5. let the players earn their win, let the players play their best game, and don't make it a skills competition trying to end it early, because no one wants that. If you're going to be up at 8 a.m. tomorrow, if you're going to be up at 5 a.m. for our people or our friends over on the West Coast, I would expect that they're going to play a full game, so that way you actually earn your time. But no, why would we put the game way early if we don't want it to end way early? Or if we want it to go, it's just so dumb. It's absolutely terrible. The amount of negotiations between European leagues and clubs will require a guarantee of increased revenue, sponsorship, and fan interest, plus air travel is an issue. Negotiating with European leagues. And then that's part of it too, right? And I think of soccer as a pretty good example of that with, I believe it's called the FA Cup, or football rather, I believe it's called the FA Cup, where they kind of draw teams and play across Europe, or maybe it's England or the UK. I can't remember if it's a full league thing or not, or whichever one the equivalent of that full league one is. But that's a fascinating concept, right? And it'd be really cool to see a huge tournament of hockey teams compete across the world. And you could see teams in the Swedish Hockey League playing off against teams from, say, Italy. And you have an Olympic-style game with fans traveling across the world to support them, or across the continent to support them. I think that'd be really cool to see. CHL is just a single tournament, kind of like IIHF tourneys, once a year, I think, with the best Euro teams. And that's what I think they need to do. I think that'd be really cool to see. But, of course, it's difficult to try and organize that. They even got a rule that nulls your power play if a team scores shorthanded. That's the jailbreak rule for our North American friends, which they call in the PWHL. I'm not a huge fan of that rule. I think if you have the power play, you should keep your power play, but I think it is definitely a fascinating concept, and one that I know is very popular within the women's game. So I don't know whether or not that's going to continue, and if we'll ever see that kind of carry over to the men's side, but it is fascinating. Finland, Sweden, Czechia, Switzerland also playing the Euro Hockey Tour. European leagues pause their seasons occasionally so national teams can play. And the IIHF has also launched the European Cup of Nations, where other European countries compete. And I think that's really good for the game too, right? And as much as you may not have the best players in the world, with the NHL kind of taking that talent, I think it is good to see kind of how those teams compete, and you get a bit of an introduction for the eventual World Championships, right? Where it's a bit of that similar trend where you're not going to have a full team, but you're going to have bits and pieces, and I think that's a cool part as well. And obviously we do the World Championships here on our channel, and so that's a part that I think very well could become an important factor. And you have the growth of the game, you have country competing on country, and it's really good for the growth of the game. We see it really across the board. We see out from the Four Nations tournament, the increase, especially in the American audience, Canadian audiences as well, where it's not necessarily the people you expect, but not necessarily the people who are huge fans, but it's a good introduction for the game because there's no one easier to cheer for than your country. And so that's one of the parts that I always loved about international hockey is you don't have to A, know anything about the sport, B, have a team that you have to go and cheer for because it's kind of already built in for you. And so I think that's one of the cool parts, especially for covering international hockey. It's what keeps us going over here, but it is kind of interesting for sure. Yes, I read about it on Wikipedia, but I want a full 2-week European Knockout Nations Cup with group, round robin, quarterfinal, semifinal, and final. I think that'd be really neat. And I think that's something that you could see the IIHF trying to get involved with. I think, especially for countries like Canada and the US, it might be a little tougher. But I do think that you could definitely see an international sanctioned event. And I think that'd be a really cool thing as well to see. And it's funny, I brainstormed this concept back in 2021. Basically, it's a worldwide tournament where there's say 10 NHL, the best 10 NHL teams, the best 5 AHL teams, the best 4 teams from each of the respective leagues in Europe compete in like a massive World Cup style bracket. And so they travel to each other's places. It's like the draw, like the FA Cup. I think that could be a really good way to grow the game, and the NHL is looking for ways to really grow it. I think that could be a really interesting concept, and obviously you kind of need the KHL in there as well, and so that would be a whole other problem, kind of to try and cross that bridge when it comes. But I do think that it's a fascinating concept to kind of see a massive bracket with all club teams from across the world competing in a huge tournament. And the NHL wants as much of the pie if possible, if not all of it, and that becomes the other problem, right? And I think you look at kind of the NHL's presence and how they control a lot of the negotiation power. I think having the best players means you can kind of pull the strings, and until the KHL is back at full strength, it's probably going to keep running that way, right? And so it's always a tough one. Time will certainly tell whether or not they're going to be able to do it, but I think it could be a fascinating concept, especially if the NHL is able to pull that off, or the IIHF would kind of have to be the overarching kind of controlling power as far as that goes. I agree in the context of the gold medal game, not so much any game before. And I think that's fair, right? And I mean, look on the women's side, the bronze medal plays first and the gold medal later in the night. This game, where there is no game coming up later today, I think you absolutely have this be continuous overtime. And I think you schedule it that way. And I think you don't put the women's game right before. And I can appreciate that there's scheduling conflicts and the rest of it. But I think if you can put that game on a time where the game can go as long as it can, I think you do make it kind of 5-on-5, let the players play it out. Obviously, continuous overtime is always tough, but make it a 5-on-5 for any medal game and make it bronze, gold, whatever it might be, because we want to see the best players in the world compete for as long as they can. And that's the beauty of 5-on-5 is it's extra periods, right? And there's always goals, and same thing with 3-on-3, which is a little bit quicker of those goals, but I think you want to see the best players in the world compete for longer. Hopefully we Finns continue attacking in the third period. If we just try to survive like we tried against Canada, the tournament will end in a disappointment. Yeah, and that's definitely fair. And you saw it, and you kind of see it is a reverse of what happened in that game against the Swiss too, right? And for the Finns, they were the other team, right? And they were kind of working their way backwards, where in their game against Canada, they were the defending team, sat back a little too long. Canada walked all over them. In their game against the Swiss, it was the other way, right? Where the Swiss sat back a little too long and the Finns walked all over them. You're looking to see if the Finns can really kind of put that throttle down, force the Slovaks to make their mistakes, play some good defensive hockey. Obviously, you don't want to extend yourself too much, but you want to make sure you're still putting a little bit of pressure offensively. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Even if it has to be a U23 event with 3 overage players in September, I take it. UK, France, Italy, Germany, Norway, Austria, Switzerland, Slovenia should be included. That's an interesting concept too, and I think that'd be a pretty cool one to kind of have a variety of different countries be involved in that. And then the question becomes, well, do you relegate those teams as well and create a new division of IIHF competition? Because it's always a tough one, right? And part of the problem with the NHL is you can barely get players for the U20 level, right? Where teams have to loan their players. And so I think the U20 level in particular for the NHL is, you look even this year with Schaefer, Celebrini, you're probably not going to get many of the best European players over as well. We saw Helenius this year not allowed to go for the Finns, and that could be a problem. Where to see the live match? I cannot find it. It will be on CBC Gem in Canada. US, I believe it's on NBC Peacock. Europe, I'm not entirely sure where it is. I know BBC is showing it. I think someone said earlier in the chat. It's part of why I'm primarily a IIHF hockey fan. I don't have to go from hating someone in the NHL play to cheering for them in IIHF play or vice versa. I wish I could join you on that train, but there are some players that I'm not sure I will ever get over. As we are approaching third period action, bronze medal game, Finland and the Slovaks. We haven't checked our poll in a while. Let us check to see what our poll is sitting at. 108 votes in, 58% of the vote goes to Finland, 42% for the Slovaks. If you have yet to, please do vote in that poll. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We do a variety of IIHF content. We do the Men's World Championships, Women's World Championships, Men's and Women's U18s, the World Juniors, and every 4 years, the Olympic Games. This is our second ever Olympic Games that we are covering on this channel. And the first time we had a whiteboard, so it's a little bit different than that time. But thank you all for watching today, for tuning in. Yeah, that's all I got. Puck is back under puck drop has now dropped. We are underway for third period action here with Slovakia taking on Finland, the chance for a bronze medal. The Finns, defending gold medalists at this tournament, will look to win a medal and take something out of this tournament. The Slovaks, defending bronze medalists, will see if they can go back-to-back in this tournament. Regenda works up Mikola. Oh, and cuts underneath Mikola. Oh, and they're calling a slash there. Oh, what a terrible call. Oh, that's awful. That is awful. That is a terrible call. And the Finns will go to a power play. Oh, that's terrible. Pick up your stick. That is a terrible call. I can appreciate why it's a call, but that's terrible. That should never be a penalty. That should never be a penalty. Finland will go to the power play. That's such a bad call. Heiskanen to Granlund. Finns on the power play. Granlund works up top with Heiskanen. Granlund works down. Over to Heiskanen. Down to Aho. Aho walks along the point. To Lehkonen shot. Saved by Lavai. Heiskanen over to Aho. Aho down to Lehkonen. Lehkonen up to Aho. Down to Lehkonen. Heiskanen shot from the point. Up. Saved by Lavai. Good save there on the rebound chance. Oh, and sorry. That is a Finnish power play, not a Slovak power play. This is a huge opportunity for the Finns to basically put this one out of reach, especially for a team like the Finns who are so sound defensively. You kind of need this opportunity to go in. Aho loses the draw, and the Slovaks will shoot it all the way down the ice. Saros back behind his net to pick it up, jams up with Heiskanen, but will now move it up. Aho over to Granlund. Granlund to Lehkonen. Lehkonen over to Heiskanen. Down to Armia. Armia down to Aho. Aho up to Heiskanen. Down to Aho. Aho with the shot. Whiffs on it. Back draw from Armia. Aho over to Lehkonen. Up to Aho. Up to the point to Heiskanen. Works along the point to Aho. Aho walks in. Waits. Passes it over to Lehkonen. Oh, and skips off his stick and will go the length of the ice. 35 seconds left to go on the Finnish power play as Aho works in. Dumps it off. Kapanen on the backside. Shoots, hits off the post. Lindell shot. Blocked out front. And Aho now. Up to the point to Lindell. Lindell, back shot. Saved by Lavai. Huge save there. Huge power play. Looking to be killed. 15 seconds left to go. This kill could be a difference maker in this game. Talk about those turning points over the course of a hockey game. These moments are the ones you look at and say, wow, this could very well reshape what ends up happening. Oh, he hits off the post with it. Nearly. Found its 3-1 goal, 2-goal lead. Ferravari cycles it around and taken down, but no call coming. I could only imagine the response as the Slovaks have now killed off the power play. We were back to even strength, but the dangerous minute now. Teravainen shot, saved by Lavi. Again up, we'll flip it all the way up and out. It's Lindell now, moves it over to Ristolainen. Ristolainen dumps it back off to Lindell. 17 minutes now left to go. Time the enemy of the Slovak team. Nemetz holds it behind his net. Telling his guys how he wants them to line up. Slafkovský dumps it back to Nemetz. Two guys that the Slovaks are going to need if they want any shot at this game. Finns will dump it down. Miraculous save by Slovakia. Absolutely. Absolutely. Every moment of the game matters. Team can't brush off an early setback just because it's early in a game season tournament. Finland's been on both sides of this in their last games. Absolutely. And it's interesting to see, especially for a team like the Finns, who are so defensive, kind of how that does end up kind of factoring in for them. Oh, and a weird play. Tries to bank shot. Can't find it. Lavi way out of his net on that one. Sarmia tries to do a bank shot off his back and into the net. Can't find it through, though. That's a third weird kind of play from a goaltender in today's game, trying to play the puck. I think the first goal for the Slovaks, very similar thing. But in the end, it's been just a weird game so far, really, for both these sides. Lavi tries to play the puck and gives it right onto his stick. The defender, Armia, that's actually a rebound chance, but he tries to play it. Puts it right back onto the stick. Oh, what a wacky type play. Oh, and the defense worked back the other way. The puck will skitter down into the Finnish end. Lindell stops up behind the net. Sets it up. Lindell moves it up to Kapanen, will skate up with it. Kapanen, bank play. Kapanen with the move. Can't find it through, though. Aho moves it up to Kapanen. Kapanen, Lindell. Lindell shot off the backside. Lavi lost his stick. Kapanen loses it. Marincin will dump it all the way down. Lindell back to play it for the Finns. Lehkonen swings it down to Heiskanen. Heiskanen over to Lindell. Joki Harju gives it off to Hintz. Teravainen. I would assume Mikko Lehtonen's not in the lineup tonight for the Finns. I haven't seen him yet today. Teravainen. Mata. Rewind play there. So we're 14:22 left to go in the third period. Shots 27-23 favoring Team Finland. Finland also will lead on the scoreboard by 2-1 by a 1-goal margin. A big next few minutes here for the Slovaks. Kellerman works down. Kakko will shoot it all the way down. Looks for a Finnish stick, but doesn't have it. Tatar now works back out. Tomáš Tatar with the Slovak first goal. Tries to work it through. Shot saved by Saros, looking for a tip play in front. Ruzicka works down in the corner with Tatar. Ruzicka comes out with the puck. Tatar works out. Shot! Misses just wide of the net. Ruzicka has Nemetz. Up to Ferravari shot. Rebound out front. Turned away by Saros. And nervous moments for the Finns as the Slovaks start slowly but surely starting to pick it up. Nemitz now works back the other way. Nemitz walks in. Over to Regenda. Regenda shot. Blocked out front. Rebound. Oh, and a weird play there. Weird bounce off the end wall. And this game will remain not tied. This game will remain the Finns in the lead by 1. But some scary moments there for the Finns as the Slovaks slowly but surely starting to pick it up. We will head to a commercial break. And we look at our poll. 114 votes in. Finland in the lead with 57% of the votes. 43% for the Slovaks. Nicolette Cole, who says under 4.5. I mean, maybe if the Finns score an empty net, you got to remember as well that this game, goal differential no longer matters. So realistically, the Slovaks will pull their goaltender for 2 goals. They will also continue to try and pull their goaltender till they get the goal that they need. It's not like they're playing for reputation anymore or goal differential, which we've seen is so important at these tournaments. You can expect them to keep pulling their goaltender until they either get their goal or the game gets outside of that kind of respectable goalie pull moment. But I would say that the under 4.5 today, I'm not sure I would take if you're asking for kind of that advice part. Agreed, Nick Garcia. Hockey has a goal average of at least 5.8 per game. Soccer, 2.5 per match. I've seen many soccer teams dominate but struggle to score and get sucker punched. Yeah, it's always interesting. I think soccer is one of those few sports as well that, or football is one of those sports where there are teams that absolutely dominate and win by a score of 1-0. And it's such a different sport because hockey, there's so little room too, right? And that's part of it as well, where if you're playing strictly defensive and just trying to pass them around, you're not going to be able to keep that going. But there are obviously times where it's not quite that, and we've seen that really across the board. And I always like to kind of look back on the early stages of the Olympics where teams like Canada and teams like the US would just absolutely obliterate teams, whoever they'd play, by 25, 30 goals. Because of how tight the ice is, right? And you don't have all the soccer pitch to go where in hockey where you have a little bit of that. So you have a little bit of that size where you can kind of pass the puck around and take it easy on teams. But in the end, Slafkovský works in, shot, misses just wide of the net, blocked out front. Slafkovský again, shot, tips off of Heiskanen. Slafkovský now walks in, backhands play. Saros with another big save. The Finns really getting hemmed in their own end here. Kind of reminds you a bit of their game against Canada earlier. Aho works it up. Aho with Kapanen and tripped up as the Finns will go to another power play. A mistake, frankly, by the Slovaks, end up with them back to another penalty kill. And that's how this Finnish team works. Is they might not play well for most of this game, but they'll do it when it counts. And that's why they're always so good. And that's why they play so well, because they wait for you to make a mistake and then they're going to capitalize. Ruzicka will head to the box for the Slovaks. And Aho was all alone on another breakaway. 3-1. I could see 4-1. 4-1 is probably your best one, especially this early. Although, I mean, obviously the Slovaks still can find a goal or two in here, but taking into account that empty net part too, you're really looking for 2 of them. Lundell works it up, and the puck will come all the way down into the neutral zone. Tolvanen picks it up, catches it with his hand. Kapanen with the puck. Teravainen. Saucer pass across the ice to Tolvanen. Tolvanen with Hintz in front. Up to Heiskanen. Heiskanen shot from the point. Tip, scores! Roope Hintz makes it 3-1 on the power play for Team Finland. And they look to try and hold on to this one to win the bronze medal. A huge goal for the Finns. as they once again might have been a high stick. Is what kind of they're making the argument for. Oh, that could have been a high stick, actually. Hintz with a pretty high tip. No, that looked good. Stick was high, but I don't think contact point was very high. Yeah, no, that looks good. Good tip there in front by Hintz off the Heiskanen shot. Makes it 3-1 for the Finns as they look to secure. I think there's also, I see everyone commenting in the chat here. The stream really is behind. I believe it's on a minute delay as well. So what you're seeing and what I'm seeing is a little bit delayed as well. Kakko up to Lundell. Lundell shot kicked away by Lavi. Up to Okuliar. We're going to see the Slovak team really start to get desperate here. We saw that yesterday against the Americans. Kakko now works in. Kakko shoots. Scores! Kakko makes it 4-1. And this one is slowly but surely starting to look like it's about to come to the end. Finland now leads 4-1 the score. And they look poised to earn yet another medal at the Olympic Games. Won't spoil what just happened. I'm 2 minutes ahead. Told you Finland had this in the bag. Yep, that is fair. Kakko all alone. Fires it past the blocker side of Halavi. Oh, what a shot. Posting in. Beautiful shot there. 10:47 left to go. The clock slowly but surely starting to become an enemy of the Slovak team. We'll see. We kind of talked about it a little bit about their game against the US. A very similar feel here where it's just goal after goal after goal. Ferravari works in. Shot saved by Saros. And Ferravari now getting into a little bit of rough stuff after the whistle with Joki Harju. A huge goal for the Finns as they now lead by 3 goals in this game, putting a stranglehold on it. If they score one more, this thing is over. Oh, what a shot by Kakko. Kakko. Beautiful shot. Heiskanen works around to Lindell. This one will go the length of the ice for icing. And now we're going to see a little bit more of that physicality side, I believe, than what we're maybe more accustomed to seeing from these two teams. Obviously, two sides that have history so far at this tournament. The Slovaks took the opener against the Finns, and really in dominant fashion too, where maybe not dominant, but a 4-1 game, kind of game that you're expecting the Finns to walk away with, kind of more similar to the way we're seeing today. But in the end, right, all it comes down to is one good chance. And you have a chance to win a medal. The games get important. The Finns, notoriously slow starters at these tournaments, nearly upset Canada yesterday, come into today with an expectation to at least win a medal. And they're performing. I don't think to many's surprise. Oh, and a big hit there. Captain knocks it down with Aho. Aho shot misses just wider than that. 2-on-1 there. Lindell shot tips in front, misses just wide. Heiskanen shot. Lavi with the big save yet again. Lehkonen out to the point to Lindell. Lindell waits. Lehkonen shot. Saved by Lavi. Good sliding save on that one. It's the Slovaks. You can really tell starting to feel a little of that pressure. 9:30 left to go in the third period. It's so over. Yeah, sadly, I feel like I have to agree with you on that. Good play there out in front. Kakko can't find it through. And this game really starting to get out of control now. Seeing that physicality start to pick up. Frustration setting in for Slovaks. especially after beating them once already at this tournament. Tough one. Mikkola fires it around. Tulos-Turainen. Up to Kakko. Kakko. Throws it across. Trying to find Hintz on the backside. Can't connect. Feravari stretch pass. Up to Tatar, who already has one today. Feravari. Stops on. A big hit there by Ristolainen. Tatar. Picks it up. Kakko will not be able to find it. The puck will go the length of the ice for icing. We have 8:21 left to play in this third period. This game very much trending as if it is over. If you are new here, please hit the like button. Please consider subscribing. We do a bunch of different IIHF content. Men's World Championships, which are coming up in May. Men's U18s, which are coming up in April. And then Women's Worlds coming up in November. We've already done the World Juniors and the Women's U18 tournaments as well. And be sure to come back in 4 years' time for the Olympic Games, which of course we will have coverage for that as well. 119 votes in our poll, 55% for the Finns, 45% for the Slovaks. That has gotten a little bit closer since our last check, and really since about a goal or so away. But it's starting to feel, you can see that desperation factor. 2-on-1s evolving a lot more for the Finns, a team well known for their defensive side. It's tough, right? And it's part of it. Kapanen to Aho behind the net. Aho to Lehkonen. Shot! Saved by Lavai. Kapanen there on the chance. The injury replacement for Mikko Rantanen today. And you're seeing, and you can feel the momentum shift now where it's more of we're trying to kill out this clock. Is Saros getting goalie of the tournament? That's a good question. I'm not sure if he will. As Kakko works in. Kakko. Oh, what a play. Oh, Lundell looking for the backdoor jam to Kakko. A beautiful play there. As far as awards go at this tournament, I think you kind of look across the board. Goaltending-wise, Hellebuck, I think, will be considered up there, especially if the U.S. ends up winning gold. Binnington has been pretty good, all things considered, for the Canadians. The problem I have with putting Saros in is he's lost 2 games, right? And, yes, I mean, he's played some pretty good ones, but you lose to the Slovaks. That's a really tough loss to have on your record. So I'm not sure if he would be the goaltender of the tournament just because of that. I'm trying to think of who else. Giannoni was good for the Swiss, nearly upset. It could actually be Giannoni, now that I think about it. Tough game, I guess, against Canada. Yeah, I think Binnington and Hellebuck probably are going to be the end up 2 goaltenders of the tournament for Canada. You kind of think about their performances so far, it's been pretty good. It's a very good question, though. Kind of who else would be in that consideration? I'm trying to think of the other teams. The Czechs, Dostal hadn't been all that good early. Italy, you could put Clara in there. He played really well for the Italians, nearly pulled off a few upsets. But yeah, that's a good question, actually. I'm not too sure. It's 5:30 left to go in this third period. So they're calling offside. The ref telling the players to get back onside, or get out of the zone, basically. Kakko now. $5:15 left to go in the third period. Canada's men's U18 selection is always hindered by the CHL playoffs. Yeah, and that becomes a thing, right? Is there's certain teams that you get that end up giving you your players. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. But it's an individual award. Surely if you make more saves in vitally crucial games, saving blocks, you should be goalkeeper of the tournament. I would agree. The only thing I would say is, as much as, yes, for the Finns, Saros has been a big part, Hlavaj has been arguably better. And outside of, and the Slovaks have now pulled their goaltender. We had talked a little bit about it earlier, how the Slovaks will basically stop at nothing in today's game to get that And shot from the point scores. Finland will take home the gold medal in this one, or the bronze medal in this one. Getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Empty net goal, 5-1 the score. And that will do it. 4:28 left to go in the third period. And a real tough game today from the Slovaks. One that I would say was somewhat expected, but still 5-1 score. This game now relatively out of hand. We'll see if they can earn a goal back or so. Armia from Hintz with the poke check in the neutral zone, gives it off to Armia. But another game for the Finns, right, where they did exactly what they were expected to at this tournament. In our prediction video, we had them beating the Swedes for the bronze medal. And so there is a realistic chance that we will get the podium right at this tournament. Obviously, our women's side, we got the top two teams right, not necessarily the third or fourth, as the Finns ended up losing to the Swiss and the Swedes ended up beating the Czechs. But we will have a chance tomorrow to see if we can go a perfect 3-for-3 for our podium. Definitely something to keep an eye on there. Cool shot, saved. Oh, what a save by Saros. And I should probably pull off the empty net here. Are we going to a commercial break? I believe we are. A lot of Americans were complaining that Brandley won top goalie over Frankel on the women's side. The U.S. probably still wins gold without Frankel. Absolutely not. And Brandley, between Brandley and Maurer, I'd say kind of a collective goaltending. I'd say between the two of them, definitely earned the Swiss the best goalkeepers of the tournament. Brandley was the only reason why they stood close with Canada in that game. Only reason, at least in my eyes, why they ended up winning their game against the Swedes. The Swedes were by far the better offensive team in that game, but could have very well. If you're 3 goals down with 10 minutes remaining, you just pull your goalie. Absolutely. But that's the other thing, right, is I know a lot of people, there's a lot of different kind of opinions on this, but in my eyes, unless goal differential matters, I don't care whether I lose 7-1 or 3-1, or 2-1, it all counts the same. So I might as well go out in a blaze of glory. Would you say the gold medal game is the best matchup you've ever seen in terms of the name value and quality of rosters? Wow, that's a good question. Outside of maybe kind of the Soviet run back in the day, I would say yes. If you think about like how good the team is, and obviously Crosby's down, that's something, but you probably have, considering the talent, the best 3 players in the world on Canada. You'd have probably the next 2 on the U.S. You have arguably the best defenseman in the world, actually a few of the best defensemen in the world on the U.S. side, as the Slovaks once again will pull their goaltender, which once again I don't think is that much of a surprise. A 5-1 loss counts the same as a 6-1 loss, so I guess that's going to go down for icing. So 91 Canada Cup, right? And that's the thing, right? And as far as Olympics go, I would say, yeah, like this is probably one of the best rosters we will ever see. As Granlund goes down the tunnel, another injury late in the game. Yeah, like I'd say it's definitely up there. If it isn't the top, it's certainly up there. But 3:39 to go. Zichka works it around to Dvorsky. It's into Regenda. 6-on-5 for the Slovaks, as they will look to bring this game within 3 goals. Kept in at the line. Oh, what a play. Slafkovský robbed again. 3:14 now left to go in the third. Slafkovský, what a play. Oh, he hurt himself? It looks like he's holding his side there. What a play. What a feed. Oh, and a great save there by Saros, getting the glove down. 3:14 left to go. Slovaks with the goalie pulled. 6-on-5. 3:14. to play in the third before Finland will walk away with the bronze medal at this tournament. Reminder that Canada will play the USA for gold. Shot. This is wide. Regenda now will feed it around to Slafkovský. Slafkovský waits, feeds it off to Nemetz. Nemetz walks in, feeds it down low to Hudacek. Hudacek up to Nemetz. Nemetz shot from the point, tipped wide. And Aho now picks it up, tries to clear it down to Lehkonen, to Kapanen. The replacement for Rantanen misses wide of the net and will go down. Slafkovský back to get it for the Slovaks. 2:30 now to go left in this period. Slafkovský works in a great move there. Works around shots, tries the low angle shot, misses wide of the net. 2:25 now left to go in the third period as it's stumped out. Nemetz keeps it in. Shot. Oh, Slafkovský all alone in front. Cannot find the shot though. Nemetz back at the point. Wheels on the top of the zone. Slafkovský holds onto it too long. Nemetz, Hudacek, Slafkovský walks in. Cannot beat Saros though. So we're under 2 minutes to play now in this third period. Slovaks still with the empty net. Slap shot, Hudacek. Dvorsky with a bit of a weird play there, but will fire it all the way around. And Nemetz back to get it for the Slovaks. 1:40 left to go in this one. The Finns on track to end up taking this bronze medal after taking the gold medal last year at the last Olympic Games. It does appear that they will end up in the silver medal or the bronze medal position this year. Slafkovský doubled over on the bench. And he's going right back out on the ice. After catching his breath, Slafkovský trying to lead this Slovak team with one of the greatest comebacks in Olympic history. One of the greatest comeback in Olympic history. 5-1 down with 1:27 left. We'll see if they're going to be able to get one here. As the puck comes out, Armia fires it over to Halla, and Halla will put it away for the Finns. 6-1, the final today's game. 1:18 left on the clock, and Finland will be your 2026 men's Olympic hockey bronze medalists. Quite the game from the Finns today, welcoming them back to reality after an embarrassing 4-1 loss in the preliminary round game between these two teams. Finland, who comes out on top today. An emphatic victory is exactly what it was. This Finnish side might be one of the greatest to win an Olympic bronze, as they show Lehtonen and Rantanen both in uniform, just not fully in uniform in their street clothes bottoms. Obviously, both those guys injured to play today. As Nick, the IIHF fan, had said earlier in our chat, the Finns will collect their bronze medals after this game. So, huge deal for them. They earned themselves a bronze medal at this tournament as we enter the final minute of action here. After a pretty disappointing game, I'd say, for the Slovaks. You count all the empty nets, that always helps, but definitely a tough one. As Hintz all alone now, tries to score, can't, flips one back. 6-1, likely going to be the final here. Hintz all alone on that chance. 6-1, nice throwback to 2011. Too hot to Randall. Ten seconds left to go. 5, 4. And Finland is your 2026 men's Olympic hockey bronze medalist, taking today's game 6-1 after an embarrassing 4-1 loss in the opener and during the prelims. The Finns come back to beat Slovakia. Hey, I wasn't watching. What happened? It was just 2-1. A whole load of empty netters. It was 2 empty netters, 2 quick goals, one after another. And the Slovaks Hlavai on the ground, absolutely distraught after an incredible performance to get the Slovaks to this point. Unfortunately, just can't get the job done. Finland will be your 2026 bronze medalist. Slovakia will come in the 4th place spot. Medal ceremonies should be coming around just in a few minutes' time. I will let everybody go and enjoy that. Big thank you to everybody for watching today. Our recap video for the bronze medal game will be coming out in a few hours' time, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Gold medal game tomorrow, bright and early, 8:10 a.m. Eastern time for us on the North American Eastern time. I believe that this game will be pretty tight. We'll talk very extensively about it in our recap video tonight. One of the best rivalries in all of sports, Canada-USA coming tomorrow for the gold. That will do it today. Finland is your 2026 bronze medalist at this Olympic Games. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. If you like, drop a like. If you really like, consider subscribing. Tell all your friends and leave a comment down below your thoughts on this game. Until next time, see ya.